Welcome everybody. My name is Chloe Ballatori. I'm a relationship and communication expert. I'm a graduate of Princeton University and Pat Allen's One Institute. Pat Allen, if you know of her, she's kind of famous. She, especially in the Orange County and LA County areas, she mentored me, and she has a school called the One Institute, and so I also attended that. I've been doing this work for about 12 or 13 years now. I'm also over 20 years married. So everything that I'm going to be talking to you guys about, I've gone through too. I've used these tools myself and they've worked for me like nothing I have ever worked with before, like no other modality. You will see results with this work. Um, and if you want to change your life, you're in the right spot because when you do this work, you do see a lot of changes. And often you see results very quickly, which is always nice. Sometimes it takes longer. That part's not up to us, right? I've also written 4 books on this work. I'm going to put my credentials into the chat. I've written 4 books on this work. They're all available on Amazon. The first book has a lot of the basics in it if you're looking for that. I teach this work several times a year in 3 discrete module packages. I teach my first 2 books. So if you want a smaller, more private group, that's always great. Sign up for that. I do it live. I also have asynchronous versions of Module 1 and Module 2 now, and probably soon Module 3. And you can always reach out to me through my website or Instagram if you have questions. Okay, so what are we talking about? Why are we here? When we talk about relationships, specifically about successful relationships, what we're talking about are relationships that are balanced between masculine and feminine energy. And there's a lot of confusion about what masculine and feminine are. Look, just because you are a man doesn't mean you have to be masculine, and just because you are a woman doesn't mean you have to be feminine. All of us are both. But most of us have one energy that feels more authentic in relationships, in intimate relationships specifically. That may change over time. Men and women both go through hormone drop-offs and menopause and andropause that affects their masculinity and femininity. Okay. So one isn't better than the other. Now, the principles of yin and yang, these are thousands and thousands of years old. But we also have more recent studies in biology by Roger Sperry, who won the Nobel Prize for proving when he dissected newts' brains that we all have a right brain that is more yin energy or feminine, that is passive, patient, vulnerable, receiving. This is energy that's in the world to make it fun, but not of the world. It governs sensuality, sexuality, feelings, magic, creativity. Okay, these are all in the yin domain. And then we have masculine energy or left brain, which is the world of thoughts, of single-mindedness. Most of us are in our masculine energy when we're at work because we're thinking, doing, competing, conquering, controlling, taking care of things. These are all masculine attributes. Okay, so all of us have both, and all of us have a unique balance that is authentic to us and that is authentic in our relationships. And as I said before, that balance may fluctuate. If you know the yin yang symbol, you know that it has that slope in it. And that's meant to connote the fluidity of these dynamics and these energies. Often when we see problems in relationships, they're almost always sourced at childhood trauma. Whether you had trauma with a big T or a small t, doesn't really matter in this context. Anything that happens between the ages of 0 to 12 has a greater valence or power over us simply because it occurs during the developmental windows that are critical to developing humans. And you may have noticed that humans, when they're born, they're highly dependent, right? We're not a species that gets born, gets up, and starts running around on our own throughout the forest and abandons our mom and dad. So when we're young, especially, we have very strong drive to stay attached to the people who control our environment, who run the refrigerator, etc. Um, and oftentimes we must sacrifice our authenticity in order to attach to these people. Based on that experience, we make survival conclusions, which we think are existential truths, but are really only strategies of the moment. Okay. And the problem comes when we take those survival conclusions and we take those strategies into our adult lives and start to work them out in our intimate relationships. Because ironically or perversely, the strategies that helped us when we were young to cope with our environment often are the exact strategies that when we use them in the dating environment end up really sabotaging our relationships. And so the unconscious mind will do it in a way that the conscious mind can't even figure out. So you may be going out and dating and trying not to marry your dad and trying not to marry your mom, and then suddenly it happens because that which we don't understand, that we're not aware of, and that we can't express, we're doomed to repeat. And so until we bring awareness to some of these patterns, we will keep continuing them on. The unconscious mind will keep feeding them forward, okay? And ultimately, if you never get your script, if you never understand your patterns from childhood, they manifest as disease. Everything we suppress and repress ends up manifesting as disease. So, yes, everybody gets old and dies at some point, but do you want to die sick and old, or do you want to be working on your spiritual and psychological growth up until the end and be cognizant, coherent? Because this work is the best work to keep you young. Okay, so that's my basic spiel. Now I'm going to take questions from you guys. And my specialty is dating and relationships, but these tools really apply to every area of life. So you can ask about work, you can ask about communication problems or conflict resolution or family problems. I help people with all these kinds of things. I also help people a lot with the pain of change because one of the least understood aspects of psychological and spiritual work is the fact that even when you're making changes for the better, they can be extremely painful. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know that and they think, oh, okay, this is great. I'm making some changes. Life's going better. And then the pain sets in because there is always the pain of change. And then people want to stop what they're doing and go backwards. And that makes everything worse. Okay. Because then we have to deal with that arrow that we want to push through coming in and out and in and out. And it really exacerbates our wounds and keeps us stuck. So you're in the right place if you've noticed that you're in certain patterns of picking certain people or in relationships that seem to keep repeating themselves. That's a very big part of this work is recognizing what's known as the repetition compulsion in humans, which is again what I said, that which we don't understand, we are doomed to repeat. And the reason for that is because that repetition brings us comfort, even if it doesn't bring us joy. And so that is very attractive. It's just having that comfort and having that knowledge. Ironically, when we try to control a situation, the only way to control it is to wreck it. And so that's also a common pattern that I see with people is that they'll sabotage something simply just to control it and just to control its demise, and not necessarily consciously or unconsciously. Another great thing about this work is it helps you see red flags really, really early on. I was I was in a situation myself today where some of you guys know I love to swim, and I was swimming in a public pool, and a guy came in and he was really rude, and he was lapping us and bumping us, and I asked if we could just not have physical contact, and he went into this whole thing like slower lanes over there. Very quickly, I realized what his communication game was, and I just stopped talking to him, and I saved myself like so much stress and time. And that's what I love about this work is that once you get to know it, you really get an edge. And then you can use that in your relationships, in your life, and it really does mitigate your vulnerability and give you more confidence. Now, if I find out you're using that edge for ill, then I won't work with you anymore, no matter how much money you give me. But it really will give you an edge. Okay. So now I'm ready to take your questions. And oh, interesting. I see you guys can put it in the chat. You guys can also raise your hand. I love to hear your updates because then we get to see how that work is going for you out in the field. Okay, I'm seeing this message from Ron. Unfortunately, men are expected to be the hunters. I wish women could express that as their masculine side. Okay, so I have really good news for you, Ron. Um, yes, 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 yes. There are women who are more aggressive and more masculine. And especially if you're over the age of 50, you may want to try being in the feminine side. And so then you're going to be looking for a more aggressive woman, probably a woman who has a pretty established, strong career, like a career woman. And you will be abdicating your control in exchange for getting your feelings cherished. Hey, Ron, I'm unmuting you to see if you wanted to add anything.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes, I did want to add something. Another reason why I think they should be the hunters is because they're more choosy than men in general.
Hmm. Okay. Well, there's no real shoulds. I never like to say it should go this way, or I don't like to should on people in general. Um, Women own the word no, right? So it's there, or the feminine energy owns the word no. So it's on that person to say yes or to say no. Now, if you want to be with a woman who's a little bit more aggressive, then you wait for her to approach you, but you make sure she knows you're available. So I always ask people, which thing do you want more? Everybody wants both, but do you want your thoughts respected or your feelings cherished? Which is more important to you? Ron?
I'm not sure which option it is, but I would prefer to be approached instead of me doing the approaching
Okay,
because
okay,
it
so that
seems
would
these
be
days that
feelings
women think
cherished.
that men who approach them are creeps.
Okay, that's not true. There's a lot of women who are sick of polite men. The creep factor comes in when a man approaches, a woman says no, and the man keeps going. You gotta listen. If the woman says no, then you walk away. You don't keep pressuring, okay?
Right.
But just simply approaching, especially if you get eye contact and a smile from a woman, is it doesn't make you a creep. And a lot of people are missing out on relationships now because a lot of men, and that's why I did the men's dating event, because it's all about that, about how to approach without being a creep. But I'll give you a little short version right now. Okay, where are you looking for women? Are you out there? Are you dating? What's your MO?
I've mostly been doing online dating with the apps.
Okay. Can I recommend some in-person flirting and give you a little homework?
Sure.
Okay. So, for single people, and especially people who are just on the apps, I really like people to try to do some in-person flirting because that ends up oftentimes being more effective just because on the apps you have to match, then you have to talk, then you have to set up a meeting. If you actually see, until you actually see the person, you don't know if you have chemistry. So if you're actually out in the wilds and you see a person that you know you have chemistry for, you're already so many steps ahead. But it's nice to just augment it too with app dating because, app dating can get a little antiseptic, right? It becomes like a shopping expedition. You're checking boxes on a list, and people aren't that great at understanding what they're going to like and what they're not going to like. So the box checking tends to become a little impersonal and depressing for some people. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to be flirting 5 days a week. This is an exercise called the five flirts. It's in my first book. It's something we go over in more detail when I teach the modules. But basically what you're going to be doing since you want to be in the receptive energy, you want to be the person asked out, then you are going to be leading with feelings, but you are going to be respecting the other person's thoughts. Now, he who is masculine speaks first. So you're not going to speak first. You're going to be in the yin energy. But when you see someone you like, you're going to give them 5 seconds of eye contact and a smile.
Oh,
If they read, that's your signal to women, career women, that you are open to being approached. Okay. Now, you're not going to start the conversation unless you're asking for help or advice with something. 4 days a week, you're going to do this eye contact and smile. Hold it for 5 seconds just in the course of your day. So if you're at the grocery store, if you're, walking your dog, if you're going to CVS, whatever it is, if you see someone you like, you're going to give them that 5 seconds of eye contact and smile and see if they approach you.
mm,
Okay. One day a week, I want you to plant yourself somewhere. Go somewhere where you like the look of the women who go there and you think you might meet somebody, and you can play around with it a little, but it's nice to go somewhere regularly. Go somewhere, plant yourself, and then you really have a chance to do the eye contact and smile and get things going in a little bit more of a substantial way because somebody can come and sit down and join you. Okay.
mm,
So I've got people, going to the Starbucks near the fire station or going to the golf course or a dog park or a cafe near a yoga class. So think about where that would be. Try those strategies and come back and let me know how it goes, okay?
can that one day be a karaoke bar?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Singing and dancing are so good because people let loose and they get sensual. They're in their bodies. Singing is inherently relaxing because the exhale is longer than the inhale. And dancing is basically as close as you can get to having sex with your clothes on. So, yeah, very good idea. Okay, I hope that helps.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, good. I look forward to your updates. Okay, I'm seeing some questions here in the chat. Been in situations where I've been excluded from social groups. I'm unsure what to do. I contribute, I listen, but I feel like I'm not heard. I want to exclude myself from this group, but that means being alone. Hmm. Okay. HFR, do you have a question for me? No? Okay. Well, I've asked you to unmute, but it's totally fine if you don't want to. The thing I would say about that, it sounds like that you're getting, I don't go with what's in fashion. Okay. Okay. So in general, if you're getting triggered, it sounds like you have some like more involved problems. This group is really to introduce you guys to the principles of this work. It's really important for me to do something that's free or very low cost so that people get to learn about this work. And then if you want to go deeper, we can set up a private. I work with men, I work with women, I work with couples, I work with teenagers, or you can join one of the smaller groups and we can get deeper. So you've texted me a lot here in the chat. What I want to just point out to you specifically is that if you're triggered in a certain situation, the thing that you want to make sure that you don't do is leave. So I really appreciate your staying. That is definitely going to help you. When you leave, when you give in to a trigger, it reinforces the trigger. Okay. So it makes that trigger stronger and it makes it harder for you. That's kind of like that pulling the arrow out. So as much as you can, try to stay. And it's often a gradual process of desensitization. Try to stay in the challenging situation. Try to stay with the trigger and ultimately bring awareness to it and make a different decision, take a different action. The trigger is almost always a harkening back to a childhood wound. And so what we need to do to eliminate the trigger, and that's what real freedom is freedom from triggers, right? We can we can be living on a beach and a desert island and have a huge house, but if we're not free from triggers, we're in a prison in our mind. And that's what I love about this work is that it really enables you to get there. Um, but what you want to make sure, what you ultimately want to do is make a different decision than you usually do in that triggered moment. So this is good. You're here in this room, you're listening, um, and you know, you will start to desensitize. Good for you. Okay. Yes, I do know people who have had success with dating apps. I also know people who've been very unsuccessful with dating apps. Okay, what is this? I don't go with what's in fashion, just wear what I know looks good on me. Hmm. I don't know if that's a question, but that's fine. I think confidence is the best thing to wear, Rose. Okay. That's the most attractive. Hi, GJ.
Hello. Yeah,
Hi, how can I help you?
okay. I've been going to clubs for many years. I even give away my age here. When I used to get a lot of phone numbers, you know, and when I say give away my age, is because I'm going back to when we actually used to exchange phone numbers, or
Right.
not only exchange phone numbers, but we used to call. And I would get phone numbers every weekend with my friends. We would hang out at clubs, and I never get a call back. And then there was the pagers. I never got a text back. And nowadays, well, I mean, no, not a page back. Now, when I go out to clubs, get phone numbers, it seems I can get phone numbers, and I don't even drink alcohol anymore. Now I used to have liquid courage, but not anymore. But the thing is, what I think I'm always struggling with is after I get the number, there might now be one exchange of a text message, maybe one, two, or three, and then it just fizzles out and just I kind of get ghost. Now, before I want to add one other part that you had talked about tonight with us about like trauma with a big T and trauma with a small T, and we were kind of like I had heard that concept from other people or motivational speakers, whatever, about this concept that we like things that were comfortable, even if it is painful to us. When I was in high school, I was in the marching band. And while I was in the marching band, I had not one, not two, but three girls in the drill team that were interested in me, but I kept blowing them off because I was so nervous and fear. And I felt like I wasn't worthy and all this other stuff. And my mother and father, they had a horrible marriage. And my mother was mostly verbally abusive, like always putting us down, emotionally abusive. So I think maybe I might have like maybe a push pull with women. Maybe I
Right.
want it,
So
but
what
I
happens
don't.
is, yeah. So because of that, what happens is that oftentimes right, you're attracted to women, but you're scared because you don't want them to shit all over you like your mom did,
Mhm. Right.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And you know, and what really, I mean, it really helps to articulate that in this room to me, to a group of people. That's really healthy for you because then everybody understands it and it gets out there and it sinks in for you on a deeper level. So we know now that GJ is dealing with that. He has a basic ambivalence because of the way his mother treated him. She did not treat you with respect. So we've already worked together a little bit. And I remember you want to be in the masculine energy. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you are really looking for a woman who's going to treat you with respect. And the way you get that respect is partially by telling her about your deeds and your accomplishments, but also by cherishing her feelings. Now, I know that may not conjure up an image for you, right? Oh, cherish feelings? What the hell does that mean? Um, and I have talked to clients who like literally have no idea what that means. But you're going to want to make her feel good. You're going to want to inquire about her feelings. When she expresses her feelings to you, you're going to listen to them and not discount her. So if she says she's cold, even if you're really hot, you're not going to go, "You're crazy. It's fucking hot in here." You're not going to do that. You're going to go, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Can I get you a sweater? Do you want to wear my jacket?" Okay. This is
Mhm.
how we get women to trust men. This is how men get women. I'm a woman, but this is how men get women to trust them is by cherishing their feelings. Okay.
Yeah, well, I have, I went across the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Yeah,
And
that has some good things in it.
the biggest thing I got from that is women like to talk about their feelings, and guys, if we just need to listen, let them talk. And many times, as guys, we want to fix it. I want to come up with a solution. Many times, I have to hold my hand over my mouth, not physically, but
Right. Well,
figuratively,
it's good to
and not
ask
to.
if they just want to vent or do you want advice? Like you can say, I have an idea about that if you want to hear it, or I'm just here for you if you want to vent, you know.
Yes,
That's
well, I
very
just
important because sometimes if you start giving somebody unsolicited advice, it will be very poorly received.
right. And I have learned that. And like sometimes in relationships that I have been in, when someone when she's talking, she had a hard day or something traumatically, I'll just like, yeah, make sure to have no TV on. But I will just listen and listen and listen to her feelings. Oh, or say, oh, that's really horrible. That must have been really upsetting. Also, I studied a little bit of NVC communication, and they teach a lot about empathy. So you empathize instead of saying,
Right.
oh, that must have been really horrible, or that must have been really upsetting, but not offer a solution.
Right.
Um, I guess my final question is, how can someone remove, like, if they have some trauma with women or men or women with men, if they have some of these traumas, big T, small T's, and they're like stuck in the self-sabotage?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. That is what literally the goal of this work is. So I suggest you do the module, because that is exactly what we get into very, very deeply. Because what we need to do is start going against our childhood scripting, and we attack that from a number of different angles, using a number of different tools to illuminate what the messages from childhood are. Because the first step is the awareness, and then the second step is the ability to take action or inaction, right? And that's how we begin to rewire our brains. The brain rewires itself on pain, not pleasure. So most people aren't even motivated to make any changes unless they're in a ton of pain, right?
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you'll get there. You'll either be in you'll that's the silver lining of hitting bottom. And that's is that when you hit bottom, you're pretty open to change,
Right.
right?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Okay, very good questions. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay. And you guys can ask questions too, about um, anything else that you've heard so far, in addition. Here we go. Hi, Deborah. Do you have a question? Deborah?
Yes, yes.
Hi. Hi. How
Can
can I
can
help
you hear
you?
me?
Yes.
Sorry, I this is my first time on Zoom, so I'm kind of
Oh, well, you're
clumsy.
doing well so far. I have people
Uh,
who can't really even find the link sometimes, so.
this is so helpful. Thank you. I have a question about even getting into the environments that you're describing. I've worked with men in military environments. I'm retired military, and I
Thank you for
just
your
seem to
service.
be pet. Thank you for thanking me. This is a great country. I've been on planes before when they land, the people, military in the plane, they all cheer because when the wheels touch down, because
Aw,
we're so glad to be back. Um, but I seem to be, while I can work with men in the military, and have done so for over 20 years, I seem to be petrified of even being out there, of even getting into a situation that is where I can make eye contact. I mean, making eye contact and smiling is huge. It's it's
huge.
so it's it's almost impossible. It's like trying to go through an obstacle course. Truly, it is so daunting to think about that, and even finding and bringing myself, stick in the mud that I am, out of the house to get into the environment. I know I want a relationship. I think that I would be great for somebody, and but I am petrified. I mean, I'm
Okay,
petrified by fear.
right. Okay, so that's pretty normal. If, like I said, if you've had any kind of childhood trauma, especially women, the last thing we want to do is be vulnerable, right?
Yes.
So, and ironically, that's what we need to be if we're in our feminine energy. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but feminine energy is passive, patient, and vulnerable. We literally need to be vulnerable in order to connect with another human. But the tools that I teach will help mitigate that vulnerability so that you won't find yourself, hopefully, in a horrible, horrible situation. Once you start working with me and understanding this work, that stuff kind of goes away. But what you're talking about is really an irrational fear that's from that childhood wound. Because you and I know, everybody knows, you go out, you have eye contact with a man in a grocery store, nothing's really going to happen to you, right? He might talk to
No,
you.
but it's
He might talk to you, but that's what you want. But the fear is there. It's irrational. And we often have to
yes.
tell our brains what to think. And again, when you're triggered like that, the best thing you can do is hang in there. If you're sweating, if you're crying, if you're breathing heavy, whatever it is, try to hang in there. And I appreciate that you have enough awareness to understand that the eye contact and the smile is so huge because that is
It's
really
so
key to
difficult.
flirting. And I
Uh,
tell people to do these flirts, and it sounds really, really easy. And then then you've already taken the next step to contemplate it, and you're like, oh shit, that's going to be really hard. And that's what a lot of these things are. They sound really easy and logical, but then it provokes a catharsis. And
yeah.
actually, that's what we want because that's the only way we can heal is by having that catharsis,
Mm.
right?
Uh, Chloe, it's very good to know that I am not wrong in feeling fearful and vulnerable. That's where I need to be. That's what this place looks like that I need to be in. And that's very helpful to know because seeing a man that is nice looking, desirable, someone that I'd like to meet, it just sounds so many alarm bells, and I just kind of want to slink out of the room. I need to stand up to that and be.
Yes,
Are you?
exactly.
Yeah. I,
Exactly.
and I don't know really quite how to find those places, but I'm reasonably
Did you
intelligent. I can go try to find a place.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you hear me working with Ron at the beginning?
I joined about 5 minutes in as I was downloading Zoom,
Oh,
and so
okay.
I'm sorry to say I missed part of your prep. I'm so sorry.
So I want to give you the five flirts. Did you hear about the five flirts?
Um, no,
Okay.
no.
So you, like Ron, are going to be flirting. I want you to try for 5 days a week. 4 of those days are going to be when you're in the course of your day. So going to the grocery store, taking your dog on a walk, whatever it is. If you see a man that, as you described, is nice looking and seems of healing to you, 5 seconds of eye contact and a smile, you're gonna feel like a whore. Okay?
I can hear my mother now passed on telling me that.
Um, 1 day a week, you're gonna plant yourself somewhere. I have clients learning how to play golf to meet men. I suggest you go where you like the men, and there's certain areas that tend to have a lot of men, right? And other areas that tend to have a lot of women. Like going to a yoga class that's full of women. I don't recommend you go to a yoga class to meet a man, but Ron might want to go. Okay. So think about that, where those people might be. Like a chess club has a lot of men. Ballroom dancing has a lot of women, you know.
Hmm.
So just start to think, suss out
Okay.
places, maybe a hotel bar. Once a week, you're going to plant yourself there, 45 minutes to an hour. Go alone, or you can go with a friend, but separate when you get there.
Okay.
And then when you give the eye contact and the smile, a nice man has a chance to come and talk to you.
Well, that's scary.
Right.
But that's what I want. I mean, that's what I want. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to be daunting. I can handle a rifle and lots of other things that men can do in the military, but it leaves me, trembling. So you've
Yes, it's a
described it so
different
well.
deal. It's a
Yeah,
different lobe in the brain.
yeah.
You're in your left lobe. You're in your masculine energy when you're at work. That's fine. You do great in that. What we want to do is start
Yes.
pumping up your feminine energy because that's what from what talking to you, it sounds like that's what you want to be in the relationship.
Yes, I want to be, well, a woman in a relationship where, um, yeah, I'm with the man I want to be with. I don't want to be masculine in that
Right.
sense,
A lot of us women
or
who are
in
even,
that scenario. So you're absolutely right, Chloe.
yeah, a lot of us women, and especially high achieving women, don't want to be in that role in our relationship, but we don't know how to switch out of it. And so I often help women who are very career oriented or driven because we live in a very masculinized society, right? Where work and money and all that is very important. Um, I often work with women to pump up their feminine side because this tends to burn women out. Women need to feel good to do good, whereas men need to do good to feel good. So work is made for men. And we women are just as capable as men. So we can compete, and that's what feminism was all about, really, was an economic movement, getting the equal pay for equal work. But in our private lives, in our personal relationships, some women want to be in the feminine and they don't want to control everything, even if they are really smart and capable, right? Because that burns us out. And if you're an alpha woman, an alpha really means that you have a strong feminine side and a strong masculine side. And so sometimes it's even trickier to decide, oh, what? Uh. When I talk to people often about their feelings and thoughts, we have to define what feelings and thoughts are because people are so accustomed to saying, I feel like he's a dick or whatever it is. That's a thought. And we very rarely say our feelings, which are often just, especially women, because we have received messages, a lot of us, that our feelings are unimportant and don't need to be counted. But we often just forget. Like I've worked with women before where we go through a list of feelings. It's usually one word. I feel sad. I feel insecure. I feel crazy. I feel confident. I feel, you know, whatever, intimidated, whatever it is. Um, so it's really one of the big things that I do is with people is differentiate between thoughts and feelings. So when you're in your feminine energy, you lead with your feelings with cherishing your feelings. And you hope that your partner does it. And if he doesn't, you do it for yourself. Does that make sense? Where's Deborah? Yeah.
So articulating those feelings are important to recognize them.
Yes, but not,
That's what I'm
but I
hearing
mean,
is that it's good
I'm
to
speaking a lot.
acknowledge and to verbalize.
So, for example, if you meet a man like right off the bat and he starts asking you your thoughts or about your job, my advice to you is lead with your feelings. If he asks you what you think, tell him how you feel. Just try it.
Wow, that's yeah. That yeah, okay. Yeah. You rock, Chloe. Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
you're
Yeah, I
writing
know
me a prescription for to help me and that I so appreciate it so much.
you are so welcome. And
It's going to be tough, but I have my homework. So,
yeah, that's what's great about this work is I can give you things to do that I know will get results, and then we can like reconfab about it, right? Recalibrate. The title of my book, well, I've written four
yes,
books, but the
yes.
first book is How to Live, Find Love and Keep It. And they're all on Amazon. So you can just search my name on Amazon. And I think they're in order of publication. So, okay. Okay.
Thank you, Chloe.
You are
What's
so
your last
welcome.
name, if I can ask?
Oh, it's here. I'll put my stuff in the chat again. It's Chloe Ballatori. And you can always reach out to me through my
Thank you.
website, also on Meetup, Instagram. I do, yeah. And I always tell people, if you want to go deeper, schedule a private, sign up for a module. That is how we go deeper. Because sometimes I get frustrated, and I'm sure you guys get frustrated. It's like we can't answer every single question. Okay, what is this? Yes. Does anybody else have another question? I see this from Davida. Salesmen do better at dating. It's so true. You are so right. Um, Salesmen are better at dating because of that, but also they can be worse because they don't hear the word no. So they can sometimes be creeps. That's my that's my 2 cents on salesmen. Okay. Does anybody have another question or comment? I'm usually here every Thursday night, and I'm doing an alpha women's relationship event a week from Saturday morning. So you can sign up for that. I'll also be starting up some new live modules soon. You can sign up for those. And I have, again, asynchronous modules, which you can check out. You can check out the books. We have a lot of collateral over here. So if you're like how I was when I first found this work and you want to just devour and learn everything you can so you have that edge, I mean, I found this work because I saw an incredible result in somebody. And I saw how great she was doing. So I was like, I want that. Um, but yeah, if you want to check any of those things out, you can. Otherwise, I will. One quick question from JGD. Yes, JGD. Are you there?
Oh yes. Super quick. I'm originally from Europe, Italy, and in Italy everybody kisses each other, men to men, whatever, and it's nothing
Right,
like that.
right. I
And
know.
what I do sometimes in not only in social situations or when I'm flirting with somebody, it could be any kind of situation when I'm flirting with someone, after a while, after I develop a little bit of rapport, I say, hey, can I show you how we say hello, goodbye, Italian style? And usually, about 90% of the time, or 95%, they say yes. I say, okay, give me your hands, and I kiss them on the cheek. Now, sometimes, and we all know that, but in France, I say they kiss 3 times, and I've been told a lot of times, no, France, Some places 3 times, some place 2 times. Belgium is 2 times. Well, anyway, I told this to another person, another kind of like a dating coach, if you will, and she said, "Oh, the women they say yes, but they really meant no." But I always ask, and they always seem to like it. Um, so if they had said there was maybe once or twice, and I don't even remember those, but I usually ask, and it's kind of a little bit of a flirtatious type of thing. But I always do it after I got some rapport.
Yeah, I think it's okay. But you have to ask.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
if you ask and they say yes and it seems like they mean no, well then don't do it. But you, you have to trust what they're saying on a certain level.
Right. Right.
That's on them. Okay.
Okay. So a no means no in that case, and a yes means yes in that case.
Exactly.
I won't worry about it. Now I can sleep tonight. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, wait, we've got one other question here. I have a tendency to empathize and connect with people easily, which leads to oversharing quickly. What's your advice for sharing information at a healthy pace? Okay. So oversharing, Erica, is a lot like overgiving. And this is another sign that you may be in ego dystonia, which means that you're leading with your masculine side, even if you're more of a feminine energy person. Um, so my suggestion to this, especially like, and these tools are really for awkward situations and conflicts, so that includes first dates. Be quiet. Just don't talk so much. Let him do the talking. It's on him to make the plans. It's on him to carry the conversation. So just slow down a little bit. Does that make sense? Do you want to say anything? Do you want to add anything?
That makes sense. Be quiet. That's something I need to work on.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up now, you guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing. I know it takes a lot to share in a room um, with strangers, although sometimes it's a lot easier. This recording will be available wherever you get your podcasts and also on YouTube. And if I don't hear from you before, then I'll see you next week.